And welcome back to another CBB Talk with your boy, Will Dickinson. We got a late night episode, but guess what? It's the Big East time, as you can see in the title. We got the Big East Awards to go over with you. So if you haven't seen the Big 12 or ACC ones, go check this out. And then tomorrow, or whenever you watch it, maybe today, will be the SEC and Big Ten awards. And then, yeah, then we can probably come back maybe on Friday, talk some conference tournaments. A lot of good stuff on our hands, but yeah, we gotta get into these awards because I mean, look, that's what you came here for. You came to see these awards. So let's get into it. These were a little tough to hand out as always, but let's go. We got the Big East. So let's get into this first award. We got the freshman of the year. This is the Allen Iverson Award for Big East Freshman of the Year. Last year's winner was Villanova's Cam Whitmore. I'm gonna be honest, the Big East has some not weak candidates for this. And yeah, it's probably the weakest out of all the conferences. First up is Isaiah Coleman from Seton Hall, a guy who was on the Big East freshman team. Again, not a lot of options over there. I think he averages around 7 points a game. But very solid player. And we should see Seton Hall in the tournament, so maybe he can become a breakout player. Next up, Stephon Castle. He was the highest rated player coming in to the Big East this year. I'm pretty sure a 5-star, and he's really been playing great basketball recently for UConn. Obviously the best team in the Big East, best team in the nation. Stephon Castle has started playing better and really become a key player on this team. Starts in the backcourt next to Tristan Newton, Cam Spencer. He's been amazing all year. And then we got Garway Duel, a guy who has come into his own this year. As the years come on, I think he redshirted last year, so I don't know if he technically is a freshman, but this is his first year playing, so I'm counting him as a freshman. He's been very, very good this year. I think he's grown a lot. And he comes off the bench and plays, meaningful minutes. And look, there wasn't a lot of great options in the Big East, but he was my third guy. But yeah, let's go check out who won this award for Big East Freshman of the Year. It was Stephon Castle. Not really too surprising here. Stephon Castle had just a great year, is having a great year, and he's grown throughout the season. He's got so much better, and I really think he can grow to be a lottery pick, and I think he's going to be a one-and-done type player. But this was a pretty easy award to give out, and Stephon Castle is this year's Allen Iverson Award winner for Big East Freshman of the Year. Our next award is the Transfer of the Year. This is the Eric Pascal Award, of course, from Villanova. And last year's winner was Sule Boom of Xavier. Now, the Big East, they bring in a lot of good transfers. This was such a hard award just to come up with the nominees. There were so many good players that I left out, but it was close. First up is Cam Spencer at UConn, second team All Big East player. The guy from Rutgers, he can shoot the living lights out of the ball. Big energy guy. I love the way Cam Spencer plays, and he's been a real big surprise because I don't think many people thought Cam Spencer was going to be so good, and he's on my second team All Big East. Second up is Quincy Olivari from Xavier. He's a leading scorer in the Big East. A guy who kind of goes under the radar when you look at best scorers, best players in the country, and let alone the Big East. He's been amazing this year, third team Big East, and I just don't think he gets a lot of recognition because of the fact that he's on Xavier, who isn't an amazing team. Last is Josh Adoro from Providence, the George Mason transfer. The big from Providence has been huge when B Hop's been out. I have to give him his flowers. He's been really good this year, and Providence is right on that bubble, but he's been a big reason that they've kept afloat since Bryce Hopkins went out, who was a nominee for this award last year. So let's see who is the Big East Transfer Year, the Eric Pascal Award. It's Cam Spencer. It was a tough between Olivier Livari and Spencer. I wanted Spencer just because obviously UConn is like maybe the best team in the country, and he comes in from Rutgers, not knowing how big of a role he gets. And he's been amazing. He's one of the best 3-point shooters in the country. He's had huge moments. Can dish the ball as well, and you see what he brings to his team, energy wise, leadership wise, and he's a huge part on one of the best teams in the country. So I go I'm gonna go with Cam Spencer there. It was a toss up, but I went with Cam Spencer, and he also got that second team nod. No, no, no. Gosh, one sec. Guys, you know it's late. I've been messing up this whole thing, but hopefully it was quick and you didn't see anything. The Jay Wright Award for Big East Coach of the Year last year was Shaka Smart. And, the previous few episodes, I've had new candidates for the award. Like, no one's repeated. This is the first year where some coach was on the list last year, was on it again this year, which is crazy. But look, first nominee, Shaheen Holloway at Seton Hall. Seton Hall not projected to be an NCAA tournament this year. They look like they're gonna get in. That St. John's game is going to be huge, but he's done an amazing job of turning Seton Hall back to a relevant program in 2 years, and I think the future is bright over there in New Jersey. Second, I have Greg McDermott from Creighton. He's led Creighton to a top 10 team, a 3 seed probably right now. Yes, Creighton was projected that in the season, but he's lived up to his expectations, and he's done an amazing job at Creighton. He has done this his whole career. And last, is Dan Hurley. He was a nominee last year, as you can see, for Coach of the Year. But he's the best team in the nation. He's led them back. He won the Natty last year. Now he's back here this year. He's done just such an amazing job. So who is your Jay Wright winner, the 2024 Jay Wright winner for Big East Coach of the Year? It's Dan Hurley. I think you can see a trend here. UConn's 3 for 3. Hurley's led the team. He might win National Coach of the Year. He led the team with losing at what, 3 starters, 3 NBA first round or draft picks, and it hasn't skipped a beat. It's really just impressive. And UConn can win another Natty. It's probably the best chance since that Florida back-to-back Natty back in the late 2000s. Next up, the big one, the Poi, the Player of the Year. This is the Doug McDermott Award for Big East Player of the Year. Last year's winner was Tyler Kulik of Marquette. The nominees were tough for this one, coming up with 3. It was so hard. I had to leave some guys off, but you'll see the teams after this. But this was such a hard 3 to come up with. First nominee, Baylor Shireman, a guy who was in the Big East last year, on Creighton. This year, he's turned it up a level. He's the leading scorer on Creighton. Obviously, he's on my first team, Big East. He's been so consistent for this team. He's more than just a three-point shooter like he really was at South Dakota State, and then last year he's grown to a three-dimensional scorer and a leader on one of the best teams in the country. But there was a lot of Creighton guys that could have been on this list, but I went with Baylor Shireman. Second, I have Tristan Newton, maybe the best point guard in the country here. He averages 13 points, but he has the most triple doubles in college basketball. He's the best player on the best team, and his impact goes beyond the stats, kind of like a Jamal Shed. He's probably gonna be a first team All-American. Tristan Newton does everything out there on the basketball court. And my last nominee is Tyler Kulik. Last year's Big East Player of the Year. Tyler Kulik is the same guy as he was last year. He's had big scoring nights. He's been a little less consistent this year than last year, and he's down with the injury. We do not know his. I don't know if he's going to play in the Big East tournament. I don't think he will, but he's been so good when healthy. Can still play make like no one else, and he obviously has had big nights when Marquette's needed it too. And we've seen them. I think they're 1-2 when he's out. So obviously, without Marquette, without Tyler Cook, what is Marquette is a great question here. But the winner is, I mean, this is one of the toughest ones to give out. But I went with Tristan Newton of UConn. So UConn does go 4 for 4 in my awards. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I didn't even realize. I'm going through these awards like, holy shit, UConn's gonna win every award for me. But at the end of the day, they're the best. They are playing like it's close. I think Houston's the best team, but they can be easily the best team in the country. And Tristan Newton, the best player and best team, is kind of the trend I've been going with in these player of the years. He's just been so good, so consistent. We've seen him have huge games. His 3-point shot has improved. And if UConn wants to go back-to-back, Tristan Newton's going to have to be Mr. Consistent, 7 assists, games, 15 points in the NCAA tournament, because obviously Cam Spencer, Stephon Castle, Donovan Clingan, guys like that can play really good. But also, when you have the head of the snake like Tristan Newton who can be at the top of his game, that's when UConn's almost unbeatable. So yeah, UConn sleeps my Moors. Let's go look at these all tournament teams, our conference teams, before we get into the little bracket. So here are my teams. This was so tough for me, but let's look. Tyler Kulik was on my first team still. So Tyler Kulik is a going to be two-time Big East. I didn't do teams last year, but Tyler Kulik on the first team. Tristan Newton on my first team. We'll talk about him. Dev Carter from Providence, averaging 19 points. He's been the main guy for Providence since Biovs got hurt. He's been such amazing. He has unlimited range, and he's not afraid at the moment. Obviously, Baylor Shireman. And then I put Ryan Kalkbrenner. He was the Big East Defense Player of the Year. And it was close. I don't even know if he made the first team in the real thing, but he made it in mine just because of how just impactful he is on the defense, and he averages almost, I think, 17 points. I mean, Creighton's really a three-head snake, and they had two guys on this first team, but I had to do it because Creighton's just been really, really good of recent. Second team, the third and final Creighton guy is Trey Alexander. Trey Alexander is definitely the best player to not make the first team, but I like having at least one big. I like having at least 3 guards and 2 bigs on my team, kind of make it realistic. Trey Alexander's a top 5 player in the Big East, in my opinion, but I couldn't get him on that first team because I couldn't have 3 Creighton players on there. I put Devin Carter over him. But Trey Alexander's taking such a big step this year from a bit player these last 2 years to a real star. And Creighton has a great 3-headed monster in him, Shireman, and Kalkbrenner. And when Steven Ashworth gets going, Creighton can be super dangerous. Cam Spencer on the second team. I mean, I've already talked about Cam Spencer, but he's been so impactful. Cam Jones, a guy that was left off the Big East teams entirely. Disrespectful. What's Cam Jones has done since taking over for Kulik with the injury? He's been amazing. I expect him to be amazing this Big East tournament and hold the ship down until Kulik comes back for the NCAA tournament. And he's just been great all year. Eric Dixon from Nova. We don't know if Nova's going to be in the tournament. They're gonna have to win their first conference game, and maybe their second to get in. But Eric Dixon's been the guy over there for Nova. He's been great. And then Kadari Richmond, he was a first team Big East player in the real thing, but the Big East first team has 6 players in real life. In my 5-person team, Kadari was the first person out of that list. The thing about Kadari Richmond is he is a big volume guy, but he's had triple doubles, he's had huge games, he playmakes, he really does everything for the Seton Hall team. He's actually a real enjoy to watch. So I hope Seton Hall's in the tournament and everyone gets to see Kadari Richmond because he's one of the most fun guys to watch. Third team, Danis Jenkins from St. John's. Neither St. John's play on this list. Danis Jenkins made the second team in the real thing. He's on my third team. He's been the most consistent guy, and he's been just really, really good this year. I'm actually very impressed the way he's played. Quincy Olavier, I've talked about him. Xavier's not amazing this year, but he's the leading scorer in the Big East. He finds his way onto the third team. Oso Ighodaro, the big from Marquette. So Marquette gets 3 guys. Also, Marquette, UConn, and Creighton get 3 guys. Oso's been the man, the center. He can play, make him really do everything. He can dribble out the ball. He's not big, but he has to always guard the biggest player that Marquette plays against, and he's a key piece in why Marquette's going to be a top 4 seed in the NCAA tournament. Josh Adoro, I've talked about him from Providence, a great big. And Klingon sneaks into my third team. I had a lot of bigs on this third team, but look, Klingon deserves it. He was down with injury a little bit this year, but when healthy, and especially recently, he's been amazing. So yeah, Donovan Klingon on my third team there. And then, yeah, I will go back and we got previous bracket before I get out of here. All right, the Big East bracket. It's a very interesting one because, again, a lot of these teams are going to be close to being in the NCAA tournament. So let's do a quick little bracket preview before I call it peace and go watch some college ball because it's 9 o'clock and I want to watch some conference tournament games. Butler Xavier's a big game here. Butler obviously has to win and probably beat UConn and maybe make the final for Butler. They went through a rough patch this season, but I think they'll get the win over Xavier. Posh Alexander's been good. Pierre Brooks are 2 good players on Butler. I think they'll get the win. Providence and Nova, I think, will both get free wins over Georgetown and DePaul. Jay Neps was close to my team, so in Georgetown just couldn't get him in because Georgetown's too bad. And I was like, okay, St. John's is the 5 seed. I'll take their best player over Georgetown's best player. And so yeah, UConn's gonna beat Butler though, and Butler will probably be an NIT team. UConn's just a juggernaut. Best game of the conference tournament right here. St. John Seton Hall winner, I think, is in the NCAA tournament. Loser will have to watch and cross their fingers on Selection Sunday in MSG. My heart's telling me St. John's to win this game, man. I kind of want Seton Hall to win because I like watching Seton Hall. I like Kadari Richmond, and I love Shaheen Holloway. But in MSG, Richard Pitino, he's gonna get his team ready. I think St. John's is gonna win that ball game. Creighton Providence is huge. I like Creighton here. I think Creighton is a problem, man. I really do. I Creighton's been trending in the right direction for me. Nova Marquette, no must win. I think this could be a must win game for Nova. If Nova wins this game, they're in the NCAA tournament. If they lose, again, they're gonna have to be crossing their fingers on Selection Sunday. Probably be a last four in team. I'm gonna take Marquette. I'm probably no Kulik. It won't matter. Cam Jones is gonna prove why he should have been on the all Big East team. Then the semifinal will be St. John's UConn. I'll take UConn in that one. And then Marquette Creighton will be amazing, but no Kulik. Give me Creighton, and I got a 1-2, a little chalky. And this would be the rubber match. These teams, I believe, split in the regular season, but UConn's a real juggernaut. They're going to win this game and maybe be able to be the #1 overall seed because I have Baylor winning the Big 12 tournament. We'll see if I have Purdue winning the Big 10, but this would be big. I think UConn goes in, rolls. They didn't win it last year. Marquette did, but I think they'll get the job done and maybe get the #1 overall seed, but they'll be the 1 seed in the East in the NCAA tournament. And yeah, so UConn will be a 1. I think Creighton's going to end up being a 3. Marquette, I also see being a 3. I think 2 threes from the Big East. I think of this scenario, I think St. John's is in as an 11, like they're no first 4. And I think, and one of Seton Hall, I'll just say this, one or Seton Hall and Nova will be in the first 4, and I think Providence will miss it, and one of them. I think Big East will only be I think it'll be a 5-bid league, and Nova and Seton Hall will be in the first 4, and St. John's will be in. Wild prediction, I know. I meant to. This was a scuffed episode, guys. I want to be more prepared, but you'll see 2 more episodes, at least 2 more episodes tomorrow. This is a late night one, so if you're watching it on Wednesday, it's probably more conventional. All right, thanks, guys. Nova shirt for the Big East. Tomorrow, expect the SEC first. The SEC will be my next video. All right, bye.